So I have my own issues with Neil deGrasse Tyson. He has been the center of more than a couple of scandals. But keeping this just within the realm of science communication, Neil deGrasse Tyson sold out. And I don't mean like sold out to advertisers or anything like that. There comes a time in a lot of science communicators' life where they, get popular enough that they stop giving you the context of what they're talking about. Michio Kaku is probably the best example of this. Like, nothing that he says is wrong, but every time he says it in such a way that lacks so much context that it feels as if it is explicitly meant to make people misunderstand it. And as time has gone on, Neil deGrasse Tyson has shifted in this direction because that gets more clicks and that gets more money, but it's worse at communicating science. I like to call these the what ifs of pop science. The stuff that's like, there's no evidence for it, but it doesn't fly in the face of any of our current scientific understanding, so it could be true, and wouldn't it be cool if it were true? And that gets people in my comments and other people's comments going, Neil deGrasse Tyson said you could go faster than the speed of light. And then you chase down that thing that they watched, and Neil deGrasse Tyson gave a very, very broad explanation of something like wormholes or quantum entanglement. And it was so broad, like I said before, it's like you were meant to misunderstand it. But misunderstanding it starts arguments, and arguments get clicks. So when Neil deGrasse Tyson or Brian Cox end up going on Joe Rogan's podcast, that's what they're going there for. They're going there to farm clicks. They're doing that so that everyone can be like, man, did you see Neil deGrasse Tyson on Joe Rogan's podcast and what he said? And that gets people listening to his stuff and buying his shit. It is just a popularity machine. And it works for Joe Rogan because the way that grifters grift you is every so often they bring on someone who has some credibility to them. And our brains are not good at separating people into different categories like that. Like, we just see people who have been on Joe Rogan's podcast, and then we see Neil deGrasse Tyson. And so when someone like Terrence Howard comes on and just spouts incredibly misinformed bullshit, people who don't know better just lump them both in as credible, which lets them sell their shit more and lets Joe Rogan sell his shit more. Like, it's all one big grift. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a very smart person. He's smarter than me. But going on Joe Rogan's podcast is selling out. It's selling out for clicks. When he goes on that podcast, he knows he's going to be misinterpreted, and he just doesn't care.